In this video, I will show you how to set up a slide using Canva. It's not ideal, but if you can't afford a designer, that may be one option you may want to consider. For this particular example, I'll be setting up a slideshow image for my theme called Parallax for Writers, and then I specify the dimensions here. I provide a sample slide, and then I can save this slide here. So this is the book cover I'll be using to design a slide today. So as you can see, my colors go well with the book, which is a bonus. But then I need to find a background. Here, this kind of looks like concrete. Concrete would be good because it's not too distracting. It does offer texture, but it would fit in the background. So I think I'll search for a concrete image I can use. So I'm going to pixabay.com, which is a free website. You always need to read the fine print to make sure that you can use the images, but I'm just going to do concrete texture. Search for that. And the ones at the top are just sponsored images, so scroll down. And then I have a few options. Now I'll try this one. And if I read the fine print, it says free for commercial use, no attribution required. Perfect. So I'm downloading this one. And I know for me, I only need it to be 1920 wide, so this works. So I've downloaded that one. And now I'll go back and maybe download a second one just in case. This one here looks cool too. It's not too distracting. Same thing, I can use it no problem. Perfect, so I've got my images now. Now let's generate a 3D cover. There's lots of tools you can use. This is one, for example, here. It's a little limited. I like to display the fact that my books are also available in ebooks. This is not my book. The book I'm doing this for, this one here, is a better service, I think. You have the option of doing a single version and the composite, which I really like. So for today, I think I will do this version. And then I do next. And then it asks me to upload my cover. So I'm just going to browse to find it. And then I click upload. And then I do next. And I want to save it as PNG or PNG. That makes it so that there's not a big white square around the image. And now I just have to be patient. At some point it will download. The site is a little, here we go, now it's starting to download. And just to show you, if you were to do JPEG, you will see the difference. So I'm downloading the other one, but like I said, I don't recommend you do that. If I open the JPEG, see how it's white around it? If I open the PNG, now it's transparent. So I can easily layer that on top of a background and it won't have a bunch of white around it. I'm done with my 3D cover. I can close that. I'm done with my background image. I can close that. I'm done with that. I've got my slideshow demo slide. I can close that. And this will be at the end. We will want to resize our image. So I won't forget, at the end, I'll go back and show you how to do that. This is canva.com. It's a free tool. And then it's asking me what I would like to design. For me, I want to stick to custom dimensions. I know that my slides have to be 1920 by 500. Create a new design. And then on the left here, there's a section called Uploads. So I will upload the images I've got. So I've got the PNG version of my book. And I've also got my 2 concrete walls. And I've also got my blank slide. So I'll upload all 4 of those. As the images are uploading, you see a progress bar there. Just be a little patient. Done. Images are uploaded. So I still had some old images there from a previous attempt. What I recommend you do for the very first time until you get the hang of it, this is the demo slide. So I'm just going to position it so that it covers the slide. Every time you put stuff on top of things, it covers it, but you have, it's like layers one on top of the other, but you have the option of moving things back and forth once you have multiple layers, and you can also play with the opacity so you can kind of see through what you've put in. So this gives me an idea. If I try to drag my book now, so this is my book. It's okay if the book, I want to put my book, let's say on the right. I can make it fit just up to here. That's probably great. That's my safe area as indicated in my guide. And then if I wanted to put some text, the text is super important to stay within the white zone for this particular usage of the slide. So I'm going to pick some text. I'm going to add a heading. So obviously my text did not all fit within my box. So this is my text here. Now it's important for me to move it, and then I can stretch it like this using the little white thing. And I can also center it. And as you move the box, it's a little hard to find those, but once you find that symbol, you can move the entire thing. And then it shows you that little line when you're aligned. Being aligned is good. It's good for visual effects. And it also likes it when I put it there, and I think I like it too. So it gave me an extra line. That looks good. So now I know that my background, my text, if I keep it around there, it will fit. So I can click on that image and just trash it. I don't need to keep it anymore. Now I can go and put in my background. So this is my background. There's a bunch of free backgrounds. The ones I've uploaded are here. So I will start with this one here. Make it as wide as I need. But you're probably thinking, but now I can't see what you're doing. The text is underneath it. That's fine. Look at that. Position, backward. Position, backward. Now it's behind everything. So now I can grab my image here. I can move it up. Okay, I think that could work if I make my text white. So now I'm going to select my text, and then I can pick a different font. Now, if you know what exact font you're using on your site, and if they are available here, I recommend you do that. The font is called Techo. When I look for it, I have 3 options, and I will pick bold. Okay. Now, when I change the font, it changes the alignment. I think I want to make it a little bit bigger as well. So I'm going to go for 64, and look at that. Now the line break makes more sense. The last sentence falls on its own line, which I think works. So what I can do is just realign things until it tells me it's aligned. But now it's tricky to read. It's black on darkish gray. You've got several options. You can play with the background. So you can click on the background here. You could add a filter. And as I pick random things here, you see what happens. So you can play with those. These are quick fixes. Or you could, I'll go back to none, and you could adjust yourself. There's a bunch of settings here. Vignette gets darker on the edges, so that's kind of nice. This changes. So depending on if you're writing fantasy, for example, that could be a cool thing. Maybe horror, but for me, not so much. I'm just going to stick it to where it was before. If you're using an image that you want to blur, this is a great way to do this. See what happened there? But it's not, if I want to blur it, it would be very little for me. So maybe this much. You can adjust the color, the tint. I leave it as 0. I'm back to normal. So saturation, you'll see if you play with it, you get what happens. It makes the colors richer, but right now I don't really have any colors. But if I had gone to here and then played with the saturation, contrast may be something useful for me in this particular situation. So it kind of makes the background, doesn't blur it out, but it just reduces the contrast between the darks and then I can adjust the brightness. So if I wanted to keep black text, that would be the way to go. But I think I want to use white text. So instead, I'm going to put my image darker. I think that's going to work, and I'm going to even increase that even more. Now I need to use my text here and pick a color. I could use pure white, but I know that on my site I use the hex code DEDEDE, which is almost white. Actually, I'm going to use pure white. That's okay. It's going to look better. It's going to pop up a bit more. Pretty happy with this, but I want to give it kind of a drop shadow effect, and that's tricky. I'll be honest, I don't normally use Canva. I use Photoshop. Drop shadows are easy to do in Photoshop. Not that you should use them for that purpose, but I can't use my brush either in Canva to put a background or anything around letters, so Canva is limited. But if you wanted to give it some kind of an effect, there is one way where you can copy your exact layer. But make sure that when you do that, it is position exactly where you want it to be positioned, because moving it will be difficult afterwards. So you're setting up this, you're copying a layer. Now you're going to change the color of that second layer to be something that's within what's around it. So for me, this, I could pick a color like this. I think that will work. It's similar to what I've got on my picture already. You don't want to pick something that's different. You want to pick something that's already there. There we go, like this. And now I'm going to move this one. It's tricky to get that handlebar. I'm going to move it, and now you can use your arrows to fine tune it. So I'm going to do this, but opposite. So I just want to do this, and then I'm going to do position backwards. So now it's very discreet, but there's a tiny drop shadow behind it that makes the text pop up a bit more. There's also other things you can do. For example, if you select this, you also have things you can do. You can do filters per thing. So you can play with your things, but make sure that it looks good. If you wanted to do black and white for some reason, Afterglow kind of gave it a brightness. It brings your eye to it. So None versus Afterglow. Although the author name on this particular book gets harder to read, so you need to make sure that whatever you do is going to look fine. So this could be something you could do for this particular one, or you could leave it the way it is. You could also adjust, but make sure that it still looks like your book, because people will be looking at this. It needs to resemble your book. This is what I'm going to go with. I've made the colors pop up a bit more just by adjusting the contrast to saturation here. So I went in some more, moved my background image so that the books looked like they were leaning against the wall a little bit more. So now I can do this here. I recommend you save it as a what they call a small file size, which is not that small, but still it's better than the other one. And then that's fine. I downloaded it. I can use this free tool here. I can just browse, find my latest image, continue. I don't need to crop, rotate, or anything. I don't need to make my picture smaller. I've already got the right dimensions. All I want to play with is reduce the quality, which would therefore reduce the file size in kilobytes. And then we can look at it. And that the text is easy to read. The books are fine, so I'm happy with that. Now I will just save to disk. And it's downloaded, and that's it. This is the image I will now use as part of my slideshow. So now this gives me a slide that's going to look okay. It's not as good as what a designer will do for you, but if you're strapped for cash and you want to do something, this is an option.